Welcome back, children, to Chapter 8, Economy and Occupations, Part 4. So today we will cover industries in Brazil and India. We will also understand the meaning of industry and factory, the factors that influence the location of various industries in both India and Brazil. In our day-to-day life, we use so many products which are not available in nature directly. For example, sugar is not found in the same form in nature. We have to process it. That is, sugarcane is processed to make sugar. The material available in nature, that is raw material, is processed to make new things or products. Now this is known as industry. The reason why I have explained industry, because today we will study various industries in both Brazil and India. Now the places where these things are manufactured are known as factories. For example, bamboo, grass, etc. are processed to make paper. This paper is then used to make notebooks or books. Now, we'll study the factors that influence the location of industries. The essential factors for starting an industry are raw materials, manpower, or we could say supply of labor, capital, energy resources, transport facilities, market, and government policies. Let's study industries in Brazil. Major industries in Brazil include iron and steel production, automobile assembly, petroleum processing, chemical production, and cement making industries. Technological based industries have been the most dynamic in recent years but have not outspaced traditional industries. Now, traditional industries, what do we mean by that? Traditional industries are old heavy industries located where cheap energy and raw materials are found. For example, we have the iron and steel industry, agro-based industries. All these are examples of traditional industries. Now, if you go to see, we've already studied previously that the eastern part of Brazil, now this is the eastern part of Brazil, it is rich in minerals, various types of minerals like iron ore, manganese, nickel, copper, bauxite, etc. So majorly if we see, here the land is fertile, and due to the availability of different kinds of minerals, major industries have been set up on the eastern coast of Brazil. Okay. Similarly, food processing like sugar industries, cotton textiles, silk and woolen industries have developed well here. Most large industries are concentrated in the south and southeastern part of Brazil. So we've already seen before that due to the availability of minerals in the eastern coast of Brazil, major industries are concentrated on the eastern part of Brazil, especially in the southeast and in the southern part of Brazil. However, the northeast is traditionally the poorest part of Brazil. So this is the northeast. So this is the poorest part of Brazil, but it is beginning to attract new investment. So children, let's study industries in India. Okay, on page number 57, they have given us various logos of industries. We have to identify these logos and answer some of the questions given. Now the first logo is this, okay, which means Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited. Now Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, which is ONGC, is a global energy holding company. It's engaged in the oil exploration. Now what do we mean by oil exploration? Oil exploration and production is the early stage of energy production. Okay, it includes searching and extracting oil and gas. So it is engaged in the oil exploration, development and production of crude oil and natural gas. Its segments include exploration and production, which I have just explained to you, and refining. The first question that they have asked is identify the industries with which they are associated. So the industry under which it is classified under minerals and metal based industries. Now this type of industry is a large scale industry, okay, and it is classified under oil, gas and power industry. Okay, so this is the answer to the first question. Now the second question is which raw material is used for these industries? Classify them accordingly. Now the raw material that is used for these type of industries are crude oil and natural gas. Now crude oil or mineral oil, it is also called mineral oil, is found in impure form. Hence it must be purified before use. Products like petrol, diesel, kerosene, etc. are obtained while refining the mineral oil, or we could say the crude oil. Now the next question, from which part of India do they get these raw materials? Now the raw materials is, they get the raw materials from Digboi in Assam, Kalol and Koili in Gujarat, and Mumbai High in Arabian Sea. So children, let's move on to the second logo that they have given us. Okay, now I have clumped all the industries which are under the classification of this particular thing, heading minerals and metal based industries. So let's see which are the logos which are classified, or which are the industries which are classified under this heading. The first logo is Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited, also known as Vizag Steel Plant. Now this is a steel industry, and the raw material that is used for the production of steel is iron, carbon, or we could also say coal and limestone. In order to harden steel, we also use some amount of manganese. Now this type of industry is mostly found in the northeastern part of the Indian peninsula, that is Jharkhand. We find it in Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh and Karnataka. The second type of industry is Chittaranjan Locomotive Works. Now again it is classified under minerals and metal based industries. Okay, it is an electric locomotive industry. Now the raw material used for these industries are steel, iron, other metals, plastic, etc. Now this particular industry is located in West Bengal, okay, and they get their raw products from Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, etc. Now the second or the fourth type of logo that they have given is Rashtriya Chemicals and Fertilizers Limited. Now this particular industry is again classified under minerals and metal based industries. Okay, the industry type is chemical and fertilizer industry. To prepare the raw material, we need ammonia, sulfur, coal or carbon, phosphate, limestone, dolomite, etc. Now the headquarters of RCF is in Chembur, and the raw material which is required for this particular industry is easily available all over. Now let's study the other logos. Okay, now RA is the logo that we are going to study. Now this type of industry is an animal based industry. Okay, and the industry is RA. raw materials used for this particular product, for this particular industry is milk. Now, from which part of India do they get these products? So milk is obtained from Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Bihar and Tamil Nadu for this particular industry, which is the RA industry, or we can say RA factory. Now, Central Silk Board, now this is the CSB. Now, this particular industry is again classified under the animal based industries. Okay, it is Central Silk Board industry, and the raw material that is used for these industries are silk fiber by silkworms. Now this particular, they get their raw materials from Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Assam. The next logo that we will study is the MAIDC, which is known as Maharashtra Agro Industries Development Corporation Limited. Okay, now this particular industry is classified under the banner of agro-based industries. Okay, and the raw materials required for this industry is cotton, jute, sugar. Then the raw materials which are required to produce pesticides, fertilizers, agro-engineering equipment, animal feed, processed food, etc. Now, from which part of India do they get these products? Now, they get their products from Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, etc. Now, the second type of logo that we will study is the Khadi and Village Industry, that is the KVIC. Now this is KVIC. Can we see here? KVIC. Now again it is classified under the banner of agro-based industries. Now this type of industry is Khadi and Village Industry. The raw material required for this particular industries are cotton, silk, wool and other artificial fibers. Now from where do they get their raw material? Is from Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, etc. Children, we've already studied the factors that influence the location of industries. Okay, now the distribution of industries in India is highly uneven. I've already explained you the factors that influence the location of industries are raw materials, then we have manpower, capital, energy resources, transport facilities, then we have the market and the government policies. All these things, they influence the distribution of industries. Okay, now due to the uneven distribution of raw materials, power resources, then concentration of enterprises, financial resources and necessary conditions, even in India, distribution of industries is uneven. Okay, now for example, if you see the peninsula here, okay, this is the peninsula. Okay, and this is the northeastern part of the peninsula. So this particular part, if you go to see, is highly concentrated with metals. So if you go to see, we have here iron and steel industry. Okay, this is a symbol for iron and steel industry. So we find iron and steel industry is concentrated in the northeastern part of the peninsula. Then we see that it is there in Karnataka as well. Okay, so Jharkhand, Orissa, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, parts of Rajasthan, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu account for most of the reserves of metallic minerals. Okay, most of the metallic minerals are found here. Availability of large quantities of coal, refractory materials along with cheap power from the Damodar Valley Corporation and several thermal power projects have added to the advantages. If you go to see, the Damodar Valley is concentrated, okay, is in Jharkhand and some part is in West Bengal. So here we have the Damodar Valley. Then Rajasthan has copper. Rajasthan has copper, lead and zinc. Karnataka has steel, manganese and aluminium, and Tamil Nadu has aluminum metal industries. Agro-based industries, including cotton, jute, and sugar, are heavily concentrated in the raw material producing areas. Yes, we already know that wherever the raw materials are available, agro-based or industries which are mainly dependent on agriculture would be there. Okay, the forest-based industries, including paper, plywood, matches, resins, and lac, are in the forest areas of various states. The coastal belt of Kerala has a heavy concentration of coir, cobra, and fish canning industries. Koili, Digboy, Noonmati, and Bongaigaon refineries are situated close to the petroleum producing areas, and Mathura and Barauni refineries in the interior away from the coast and oil producing areas. Now, the distribution of cement industry is also highly conditioned by the availability of raw materials. Now pay attention here. Let's see where Koili is. Now Koili is in this part of Gujarat. Then we have Digboy here. Okay, so this is the symbol for oil refinery. Now in this map we do not have Koili mentioned, but here we have Koili. Then this is Digboy. Then we have Noonmati, which is also in Assam. Okay. Now this is Noonmati here. Then we have Bongaigaon. We have Bongaigaon here. Then we have Barauni. We have Barauni here. And we have Mathura here. Now Mathura is in UP, so this is where Mathura is. So Barauni and Mathura are away from the coast and oil producing areas. So if you go to see on the coast side, we have Koili, we have Digboy, then we have Noonmati, which is here. Then we have Bongaigaon here. Then we have Barauni and Mathura. Then the distribution of cement industry. Now cement industry, if you go to see, this is the symbol for cement industry. Okay, so cement industry is also unevenly distributed because, and this is also, again, it also depends upon the availability of raw materials. Okay, so we can see that the distribution of cement industry is also uneven. Okay, now Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Tamil Nadu produce the bulk of salt in the country. Mechanical engineering, electricals, automobile, fertilizer, and numerous consumer industries, which show little bias for raw materials, have come up all over the country with heavier concentration near the big cities. Now naturally, mechanical engineering, electricals, automobile, fertilizer, all these industries, they are not dependent upon the availability of raw materials. That's the reason you find these industries all over. Okay, but mostly we find the concentration of these industries in and around the big cities. Yes, children, we have come to an end of our today's session. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.